He pressed the crack. "The blanket," he said. "No servant girl with a kitchen knife stops for a blanket like that. And you did not know the boy's name when I asked it. A mother knows her child's name the way she knows her own teeth. So before I put one more stroke into this water for you, woman, you are going to tell me the true thing. And I will know it when I hear it, because I have heard 10,000 of the false ones." And the fog, which had been gathering thicker around the still boat the whole time they sat, seemed to lean in close, and Marin's face came apart, and out of it came the truth she had built the lie to hide. The child was the heir, not a doomed secret in the servants' wing, but the true-born son of the dead Margrave, the legitimate prince of the whole grim coast, 3 months old and worth a war. The Margrave was 8 days in his grave, and the moment his heart stopped, the whole province had become a board with one small piece on it that every hand wanted to hold, because whoever held the heir held the regency, and the regency held everything. Marin was no seamstress. She served the man across the water, the dead Margrave's exiled brother, who meant to raise the boy as his own puppet and rule through him for 20 years. And she had taken the child out of the nursery 3 nights ago, and the men in the boat behind them were not assassins, but the household guard, loyal and desperate, trying to get their prince back before he vanished across the strait into a lifetime of being someone else's mask. And the story, the rape, the doomed secret, the threatened mother. She had built it, she admitted, her voice flat now, the mask off, because she had asked in the village who kept the ferry, and they had told her, an old man who lost a daughter to power in the bad years and never got over it. She had walked down to his jetty with a stolen prince and a story shaped exactly to the hole in a grieving father's heart, and she had very nearly rowed away on his tears. Bevan sat with the oars in his hands, and the cold of it going through him worse than the fog. She had used Era against him. She had taken the one true holy thing in his ruined life and whittled it into a key to fit his chest, and he had so wanted the lock to turn that he had almost never noticed. For a moment, the old anger and the old caution roared up together and said, "Hand her to the guard. The pursuers are honest at least. Let the factions have their piece and keep your own hands clean and your boat your own." He had pressed for the truth, and the truth had handed him a clean, cold excuse to do the safe thing after all. And then the child, jolted by the stopped boat or the raised voices, woke and cried. The small, specific wail he had heard in the fog, the one true, innocent sound in the whole black business. And Bevan looked down at the bundle, and the politics fell away from it. And what was left was a baby, 3 months old, true-born or stolen, prince or pawn, the property of every scheming hand on both shores. And none of it, not 1 ounce of it, his doing or his fault. Every adult in this story, the dead Margrave and his exiled brother, and the loyal guard and the liar in the bottom of the boat, and the old ferryman too, wanted the child for what he meant. Not one of them wanted him for what he was, which was a person who had not asked to be born worth a war. So Bevan made the only choice that was not a faction's choice. He would not row the boy to the brother across the water to be a puppet. He would not hand him back to the guard to be a prince, which is only a puppet with a better seat. He took up the oars and he turned the boat, not to the far shore and not to the near one, but along the strait, into the deepest, blindest part of the fog that only he could navigate, where neither boat could follow. And he said to Marin, low and final, "You are getting off at the sandbar, and you are going to your master with empty arms, and you are going to tell him the strait took the child." And it did. As far as you and your master and that guard and the whole bleeding province are ever to know, the heir of the Margrave drowned in the fog tonight, and there is no peace left on the board. and they can fight over an empty chair. And he put her off on the cold sandbar in the white, and he rode away with the crying prince, and the fog closed behind him, and the air of the coast was never seen again. A childless old ferryman, in a fishing village far down the coast where no one had heard of any Margrave, was known in his last years to have taken in a foundling, a boy called Tomas, with no people and no past, who he was raising too old and too gently, and with a fierceness that the neighbors found touching in a man so near the end. The boy would never be a prince. He would mend nets and learn the water and grow up nobody, ordinary, unwanted by any faction, because no faction knew he breathed, alive in the one place power could not find him, which was beneath its notice. Bevan had failed to save one child from the men who traffic in what children are worth. He had pressed for an ugly truth and used it to steal the second child clean out of the game, and to give him the only gift the boy's blood had made impossible, and an old man's lie made real again: the chance to be no one at all and live.